Next up, we have Prophecy by Creo. Once again, everybody, this is a Basterd's LFA, a layman-friendly analysis. I'm a professionally trained musician and composer, and my objective here is to explain things in a way so that you don't have to be one to understand what is happening here, musically. So if you like the sound of that, make sure you're following the channel, subscribe to the channel, whatever term you want to use, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, become a member. Two things before the two things. Number one, this channel is growing a lot faster than I ever expected. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. If we somehow hit 10,000 subscribers before Christmas 2025, I will take a single fan fiction of the choice of the community. Whatever y'all want. One fan fiction, and I will fully produce, record, and voice act a audiobook for it. We have to achieve this through legitimate means, though. So no account duping, no botting, no buying followers, nothing like that. Share the videos, bring people to the community, arrange for collaborations between me and other creators. I don't know. Like, whatever legitimate and honest things we can do, we do, as well as the hype function on YouTube. I don't know how it works. We have people on the Discord who do, so link down below. And number two, members. If you are a paid member on YouTube, you get early access to the content. I schedule the videos for the week on Saturdays, and if you are a paid member on YouTube, regardless of the tier, you get access to the videos on Saturday when I schedule them, so early access. So become a member today. Disclaimers. Number one, this is my first time listening to this, so I will be pausing a lot, and I will be yapping a lot, as I will be pointing things out and explaining things as I hear them or as I realize them. And number two, this is recorded live on stream on a single take. I already stumble upon my words quite a bit. I will do it again. Whatever happens, happens. With that being said, let's do this. Prophecy by Creo. Let's go. Okay. So we start with, I'm going to say one main layer, because this is a keyboard instrument. We start with a very nice and jazzy set of chords, plus our melody being our motif. Motif being the smallest version of your musical idea, the seed, the essence from which everything else comes from. And the reason why I say this is a single layer is because of how keyboard instruments work. Usually when you have a keyboard instrument, a piano or a synthesizer or anything like that, you will have two hands, because, you will have two parts because two hands. One hand usually is going to be playing the chords, and the other hand is going to be playing the melody. Therefore, this is all a single layer because of that, because it's all still using the same samples. So we start with that. And then after a repetition of it, we introduce our drums, and it sounds like we're going to be doing the same motif, but now with the smooth jazz drums that we had before. Knowing Creo, chances are we're going to get a saxophone with this, so let's see if the motif is just accompaniment, or if we have something different from the saxophone. Let's see where this goes. Trumpet. Okay, so the motif we have in the piano is the accompaniment motif, and then in the trumpet, we have a trumpet now, which is giving us the actual motif. So accompaniment usually is going to be way simpler, not always has to be completely related to the music in the motif. It just has to accompany it enough so that it gives you a good enough idea. And I think the trumpet, I don't think the trumpet has a mute. I think it's just a volume down trumpet, because one of the things about jazz is and genres post-classical music is that doesn't it has any sax? Yeah, it probably has we have the trumpet instead of the saxophone, which is a good replacement, not replacement, but it's another jazz instrument that you can get, which is the trumpet. Because one of the risks of brass instruments, such as the trumpets, the trombones, and the tubas, is that they are very, very loud. However, this is very loud in the context of a symphony orchestra or of a smaller ensemble, a more acoustic ensemble, a more analog ensemble. However, nowadays we now have the advantage of microphones and amplifiers. So that gives you the option of mixing the audio a lot better. You no longer need to worry about the trumpet overpowering the entire ensemble. You can just turn down their volume and you got it. So having a trumpet in jazz, being contrary to what would be common sense, because usually jazz is going to try to be not that loud. Like, yes, there are moments in jazz where it gets pretty loud, but we're not talking heavy metal loud, right? We're not talking symphony orchestra loud. We're talking like moderate levels of loud. Getting what could be considered the loudest instrument in this ensemble sounds counterintuitive. However, because of amplifiers, because of microphones, this is able to be balanced a lot more. And there you go. Let's see what this is. Let's see where it goes. Free jazz saxophone scheme. Now we're doing the motif going down instead of up. There, we're going to the motif again. So yes, turns out the piano or the keyboard, it wasn't so much giving us our motif as it was giving us a beat. Very, very different in this case, considering how the drums didn't come in afterwards. And by the way, what is being played right now is a snare with brushes. It's a snare with brushes. It's just the same thing as a snare, but instead of playing with your usual drumsticks, you grab a couple of these types of brushes, and yeah, that's how you get this sound. You use brushes with your snare instead, and it gives you this sound. And by the way, what makes the snare so unique compared to other drums, in case you don't know, snare, I think it's a rail, I think what it's called. I mean, if you look at a snare from below, here it is. When you flip it upside down, you have this little film of a tiny chain or a tiny set of chains that gives the snare this very, very unique sound. Everything, yeah, it's a chain. It's a set of chains that you have with the snare. That's what gives it this sound. Once you combine that with these little brushes, you get the sound of the drums. It's a lot more subtle, and it's not as rhythmic as some of the other things. So in this case, the keyboard, the piano is giving us a stronger beat, and the snare is more of an adornment and an accent to those beats rather than the thing. And Classical VIP, welcome today. How you doing? So accents. Accents in music is not to tell whether or not somebody's from Quebec or Paris. Is for accentuation. Accentuation is to take specific moments in the rhythm and highlight them with something that is not the rhythm. In this case, we are doing something fairly unusual in the large scale of things, although in jazz it's fairly common, and we are using the piano or the keyboard itself as the instrument giving us the actual rhythm. And we are having the snare giving us highlights on top of it. So very, 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 very lovely. Let's see where this goes. And on top of that, we are developing the melody from the trumpet using both repetition. I don't think I need to explain that. As well as inversion. Inversion in music is, especially in melody, is when you take a melody, whatever shape you may have, you grab that and you turn it upside down. And that's it. They're called snare wires. Well, thank you. Snare wires. So yeah, the little chains, the little chain on the snare, that is the snare wire. Why are they called wires? These are not wires. These are not wires. This is a set of chains. These are not what I am trying to find logic in music. There is no such thing. So, Zenjuma, welcome to today. How you doing? Yeah, no, yeah. Jesse Pinkman named those things, obviously. No, no, a musician did. It's far, far worse. I think I've already explained before how the concept of parallel and relative scales are backwards in music. You know what? I'm gonna give you an example right now of how nonsensical music is. We are going on a brief tangent. Let me just bring up maps over here. Scroll out, and we are going all the way to Boston, Massachusetts. We're going to Boston, Massachusetts to where is it? Here we go. This is the Berklee College of Music in Boston, Massachusetts. Sorry, wrong button. So, Berklee College of Music in Boston, Massachusetts. This right here is building number 150. So this right here, let me actually take a quick, let me go further over here. No, other side of the street, please. And let's see, okay, here we go. I'm going to take a screenshot of this, and we are going to be talking about something very nonsensical about Boston. So we're going to take this, and we're going to go on Paint. Yeah, we're doing this tangent. We're doing this tangent because it's going to make sense as to why music makes no sense. So, over here on the right side, we have building number 100. Let me use a brighter color, maybe yellow. 150. Over here we have 136, and here we have 130. So this is 150 Mass Ave. This is 136 Mass Ave, and this is 130 Mass Ave. So, when you are in the United States, for those of you who are not American, the ground floor in the United States or in non-European countries is the first floor. And I went to school at the Berklee College of Music. Here you can see the little flag of the Berklee College of Music. And here is entrance number 1. There's another entrance over here for the 150. The 136 has this entrance over here, but this entrance does not grant you access to the school. This is the entrance to the Performance Center. The Performance Center is a theater. And then over here you have a teachers only entrance, which is also not accessible for students. This can be used as an exit. It cannot be used as an entrance. At least when I was at Berklee, right? I went to Berklee between 2013 and 2018. On my first day at Berklee, I needed to find classroom number 301 in 130 Massachusetts Avenue on the third floor of the 130 Massachusetts Avenue building. However, I found out you can't enter through the 130 building, and you can't enter through the 136 building. The way it works is you have to walk through the 150, go up to the third floor of the 130 Massachusetts Avenue. Then through here, the walls are broken through, and you have to go through the 136 second floor. So the rooms here in the 150 are rooms 301 through 30 whatever other numbers of rooms. In the 136, these are the rooms 201 through 2 and however many they have. And once you make it through the 136, you break through the walls, and then you get to rooms 301 and whatever others you have. The room 201 of 136 Massachusetts Avenue, you have to achieve by going through the third floor of 150. These buildings were designed by this building layout was designed by musicians. A lot of things make very little sense in music. So to my confusion, finding 136 room 201 was even worse. Because you have to go, because 130, 301, you just have to make it through a hallway. If your first class is at 136, room 201, you can't go in through 136. You have to go in through 150, go to the third floor of 150, and then you can go to the 201 room in 136 Mass Ave. This one I know is still the same. The 301 room in 136 is on the 4th floor. Yeah. Yeah. So whenever I tell you something doesn't make sense in music, it's because musicians, that was my computer, it's because musicians make no sense. It's because musicians make no sense. Because the same type of people that decided to name the rooms 201 on the 3rd floor of a building are the same type of people that decided that the little chains behind a snare drum are called wires. So, yeah. Yeah. Now you know, back to the song. Or the piece of music. Inverted version of the motif. And I am inclined to believe that Creo used a live snare for this, because getting this type of snare emulated is very difficult. Very, very difficult. Feel better now you got that out? No, I feel the same. But yeah, no. If something doesn't make sense in music, logically speaking, but it makes sense within the world of music, just know that musicians are nonsense. I heard a bass, so let's go back a couple of seconds. Let's hear it. Oh, we got a double bass. A single... Off the ramp we go. Okay. Off the ramp is a colloquial term that I use. Colloquial, by that I mean that there is no official academic term for this, or at least I'm not using it for the sake of simplicity. And what I mean by off the ramp is a transition. Usually can be as short as a couple of beats. It can be as long as an entire section. And the point of going off the ramp is to make your listener feel suspended up in the air at the mercy of inertia. How do you do this? Remove the drums, maybe the bass as well. In this case, we didn't have a bass. We went off the ramp by bringing the double bass. So double bass, for those of you who have never seen one, it's yes, this instrument. Oh, she's tall. Okay, so yeah, no, these instruments are massive. These are massive, massive instruments, and what makes them so special in jazz is that you play them with what we call with the technique called black again as the font pizzicato. Pizzicato means to pluck. Upright jazz bass. Okay. Oh, look at that! This instrument is another quantum instrument. We have another quantum instrument. I thought the only one was the fiddle with the violin. So, this instrument right here is either a double bass or contrabass or an upright jazz bass. An upright bass. How do you know which one it is? You don't know until it is done playing. This is one of the two instruments that we have, because then we have fiddle. Look at the image of the fiddle, and you can immediately see violin versus fiddle. It is physically the exact same instrument. The difference of the instrument is how it's played. A fiddle is usually something that is used more in the country music scene, while the violin is used more on big bands and symphonic/classical music. And the only way you have to know whether it is a violin or a fiddle is until after the instrument has been played. And it turns out there is a second one, which is the double bass, or the contrabass, or the jazz upright bass. In jazz, usually you're not going to have the player play it with the bow. They're going to play it pizzicato, which just means it's going to be plucked. And it is going to bring us a very, very different sound compared to the double bass, which is usually played arco or with the bow. So in this case, chances are, I mean, if you see more than one double bass in the same room, it's a double bass, because that means it's part of an orchestra. It's extremely rare to see more than one bass player in a in the same room, unless it's for a symphony orchestra. In a jazz ensemble, you're not going to see more than one play. You're very rarely going to see more than one bass player. So there you go. There you go. So yeah, now we had one hit of the double bass with pizzicato, and now let's see where it goes. And we bring what sounds to be either a string quartet, quintet, or sextet, or a chamber orchestra, or a chamber string orchestra. So, a chamber orchestra, let me write this over here. A chamber orchestra is just a smaller scale orchestra. So, if I were to show you a chamber orchestra, you are going to see that it is going to be considerably smaller ensemble than a full orchestra. If I were to put a symphony orchestra, you would see, for example, over here, the incredible, overwhelming size as opposed to just a few people. In this case, we have what, 4 first violins, 4 second violins, 3 violas, no, 5 first violins, 4 second violins, 3 violas, 4 cellos, and 2 double basses. Whereas in a full orchestra, you would usually have 12 first violins, 12 second violins, 10 to 12, 10 violas, 8 cellos, 6 double basses. So yeah, chamber orchestra is just smaller, considering the amount of instruments we're having now, because now the accompaniment that used to be in the piano is now being arpeggiated by pizzicato strings, which sound to be violins, maybe the violas as well, and we are also having some instruments with bow, giving us the initial motif of the accompaniment. Okay, let's see. We got about one more, doing a variation of the motif. I would say this and we also have a drum set. Like, the drum set has now moved from those little brushes to actual drumsticks. I am willing to say this is a chamber orchestra, a small chamber orchestra. We are very much in that gray area of, is this a string sextet or is this a chamber orchestra? And a string sextet, I guess it would be 2 first violins, 2 second violins, or 3 violins, 2 violas, and a cello, or 2 violins, 2 violas, cello, and double bass. You can make many combinations for these. It's definitely more than one. It's definitely not a string quartet. So let's see. Let's see where we go with this. So let's see. Yeah, we got proper drumsticks now. Okay, so now we're starting to bring the digital. We're starting to build up for the electronic drop. We now have a digital drum, or it could be just a filtered out version of the kick drum or the bass drum of the analog equipment being done, slowly, being unfiltered, which is very common in electronic music. So let's see where it goes. Oh, and we're sidechaining the synths. So while we still have the violins doing their thing, we also brought in a synth playing those same chords, and it is sidechaining to what usually with sidechaining is when the bass drum hits the volume of whatever instrument is sidechained goes down and then back up when the hit ends. And right now, usually when you sidechain something is because the bass drum is right in your face and it kind of just steals the spotlight. In this case, we're doing it while the bass drum is very, very much far in the back. Pretty cool way of doing it. It's not the first time we see it, but I really like it. Let's see where it goes. Alright, and we're building towards the drop. Ooh. Okay, and we go for a drop. We do this very differently than how we've done other drops with Creo before. Because there is one thing that is missing so far in this track that I have given Creo credit for being one of the best I've ever seen at using it, and that is silence. This is not a bad thing. This is not a bad thing. It's a very nice way of just letting the drop happen, unless this is still building. Because it doesn't sound... It does not sound like the beat dropped. It sounds like it's still building up, and we just decided to remove the filter from the bass drum. So it is possible that it's still building. However, usually when you bring the instruments this clear up, we brought in the trumpet again. The trumpet sounds like it's a little bit distorted. Might have a little bit of distortion in it, or it could just be the superimposition of it, the overlapping with the other instruments. I don't know, but it's very, 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 very much different from what we are used to. Because usually with Creo, we're used to we have the build-up, then a moment of silence, then it drops, and it's just that rhythmic displacement that Creo is so incredibly good at. Let's just see if he still builds it. Because now we have the motif again. It's very nice. It's very nice. I think we have the trumpet with a synth doing a doubling. I think that's what's making it sound so weird, because we're having a synth. A doubling is when you have more than one instrument doing the same thing at the same time, and I think in this case we are having both the trumpet and a synth doing the same thing. Still, yeah, we just decided to go for it, because once again, when you're making music, you're doing one of two things. You are building tension, or you're resolving that tension. That point in the middle, we call cadence. However, usually when we've seen Creo, most of his cadences, most of his dropping of the beat will happen with a little bit of rhythmic displacement. We will take that moment of resolution and we will push it with a little bit of silence, which creates a little bit of extra phantom tension that does this. However, in this case, what we did with this drop is this is from 3 months ago. It says here 3 months ago. So what we've been doing here is that we were building the cadence, and we are still building the tension, but we dropped when we usually and usually you would drop the beat right here. However, Creo dropped the beat over here instead. And it's very, very unusual to see something like that, which is why it didn't feel like a release. It felt like a continuation. It's not a bad thing. It's just unusual from what we've heard from Creo before. And it's very unorthodox for you to create the moment of cadence or resolution down here when you are still building that tension. So let's see where this goes. The melody is very good. We now have one more synth at the top giving us what sounds to be, no, not a pedal note, but it's taking the notes from the keyboard and we have a harmonic inversion. Oh my god, we have an inversion in the harmony for the first time in a very long time. So I talked about inversion in the melody. You take a melodic shape, you flip it upside down. However, music has three components: melody, harmony, and rhythm. When it comes to harmony, the concept of inversion is very different when it comes to harmony, to melodies, because melody, you just flip whatever you have upside down. However, with harmony is the use of chords. It is the chords that you have, the scales that you get, the chords that you get from your scales, the scales that you get from your chords, the relation between your chords, between your scales, between your sets of chords, between your sets of scales. It's the most extrapolated and meta of all the three. It's definitely the most complicated of all of them. However, when it comes to chords, we do something. So let's just make this let's see. Let's see. Let's say we have. Let me just make this. Fuck. I need to visualize this. Visualize this. There we go. So when you have, once again, when you are in music, you have scales, right? And your scale is usually going to be 7 notes. And those 7 notes, you're going to pick out of the chromatic scale. The chromatic scale is all the notes that we have available in the Western music, which is all the white and black keys of the keyboard, all the frets on the guitar. And when it comes to harmony, we usually do vertical chords. And let's say when you have a chord, you're going to have notes. Usually we're going to talk triads, right? So you're going to have notes number 1, 3, and 5. That is going to be like your most common. It's going to be called the root chord. And there's that. Sometimes you're going to want to do the doubling within the octave, and there you go. So when it comes to inversion, since you can't just flip a chord upside down, that's called something else. What you do is that you pick one of the notes that is here, and you turn it up to what is called an octave. So as you can see here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the 8th note is again 1. So 1 is the octave, and then it just starts the scale over, and it just keeps going for the entire range of the scale of the instrument that you have. So the way you do inversion in chords is that you grab one of the existing notes and you bring them up an octave. And then, depending on which one, the strictest sense of inversion is when you have a 3-note chord, a triad, and you take the lowest note and you bring it up an octave. So here is our root chord, notes 1, 3, and 5. If we were to make it then 3, 5, and 1, this would be our first inversion because we took the lowest note and we brought it up an octave. If we were then to take this and take the 3 up so that we have notes 5, 1, and 3, this would be our second inversion. But the idea in general of inversions is to grab the notes and put them up octaves so that you get different notes in the bass. And what we did right now with Creo is we grabbed this concept and we took one of the notes and we just brought it very, very high up in one of the highest notes, and we are holding that. We are still having that same chord progression. Let's just say for the sake of argument that we are doing 1, 3, 5, then we're doing 1, 4, 6, and then we're doing 2, 4, 6, and then we're doing 2, 5, 7. And then we go back, right? Like this is our chord progression. But what we are doing right now, Ghostimpa, welcome today. How you doing? What we're doing right now is we're taking one of the notes. I don't know which one, but we are taking one of the notes, and we are just bringing it very much high up. So let's say it's 5 and 6, right? So now instead of having the notes down here, up here, very, very high up, we are grabbing the note and we are following the same line we had down here, and instead we are doing it up here while everything else happens in the middle and the lower ground, giving us this sense of full coverage from everything, and it's very, very lovely. Again, I am a little bit caught off guard than when it comes to the way that Creo dropped the beat in this case. It works. It's just not what I expected from him. Let's see where this goes. So yeah, you can hear very high up, and we're still having the trumpet repeating the motif. How are you gonna end this? We change chords. Couple more runs of the one more run of the motif. And we leave the melody right before it's about to repeat again, and we take everything away, we let that echo out, and it ends there. What an unusual approach. What an unusual approach. Can I only have 3 notes at a time to make a chord? Can it have more or less? I said 3 for the sake of simplicity because the triad is the most standard of all chords. But yeah, you can make all sorts of chords, which is why harmony is so unbelievably extensive and difficult, because then you can have, for example, let me bring the thing back, all right, before I give you my final thoughts on this, but let me just delete this. So yeah, we have 1, 3, and 5, and then if you bring 1 again, that is just going to be your octave. But then if you have 1, 3, 5, and like 1, 3, 5, this is called your triad. 1, 3, 5, 7 is called a 7th chord. If you add the 2 on top of that, it becomes a 9th chord. If you bring up the 4, it becomes an 11th. So this is your 9th. This is a 7th. 7th. This is the 9th. This is an 11th. This over here is a 13th, and this is kind of as far up as it gets, because if you put the 7th again, you have another 7th. So the highest extended chord you can have is a chord with a 13th, and this is within the scale that you're in. We're not taking into account chromaticisms, because this is just 7 out of the 12 tones that exist. So this is why harmony is one of the most complicated of the entirety of music. Because this is just me giving you the basic run-through of this. It gets extremely complicated, because don't forget that in music, we don't deal with this in numbers. We give each note a letter, plus whether or not it is a natural, flat, or a sharp. It gets very complicated, but usually a chord with just 3 notes, this is what we call a triad, which is the easiest, most straightforward chord that you can get. I mean, the easiest, most straightforward chord would be the dyad, which is just 2 notes, but the triad is the most standard and most easy to work with. Yeah, so back to Creo. Very, very good. Very unusual. Jadis, welcome today. How you doing? Very unusual approach. Left me wanting more. Left me wanting so much more, because I think after this ending, he could have dropped the beat again with like some high notes or something, and it would have gone. I don't know if the album that he would work on would then come into something like that. But yeah, man. Still really good, like super well produced. I really liked the jazz section of this. I was not expecting, the brush snare thing, but very, very different from what we've heard from Creo. Not as much use of silence as we're used to from Creo, which I think this is something that Creo needs to focus. Like, I have never seen somebody handle silence the way Creo does, and it was a little bit disappointing here seeing him not really use silence until the very end. So I think he needs to take more advantage of that. He always does, so I understand why he would step away from that on this one and experiment. I respect that. I still think there were so many missed opportunities here that I think he could have handled in the way that only he knows how to handle, that I think would have elevated this to so much more. Like right now, I would give this a solid, like production-wise, motif-wise. Like, if I had to rank it, like, Creo, like, the other stuff, 9, 10 out of 10. This goes to, like, 8 or 7. Good stuff. Very good. Just not what we're used to from Creo. And it's not really a bad thing, because it's still... I really like the sound of the trumpet here. Like, the trumpet itself was so very nice. The motif and everything. It just left me wanting more. And not in the sense of, let's see what the next track is, in the sense of, this could have been a 5-minute track. You could have gone for a bunch of solos and a bunch of other stuff, and it looks like you chose not to, which I respected. It was still good. I'm a little bit disappointed that I didn't get to, that I think there was more of the idea that could have been explored that wasn't. He probably had his reasons. I'm not really going to question it. That is what we got from Creo. Still a good track. Anyway, there you go. That was Prophecy by Creo. Once again, everybody, this has been a Basterd's LFA, a layman-friendly analysis. I'm a professionally trained musician and composer, and my objective here has been to explain things in a way so that you don't have to be one to understand what's happened here musically. So, if you're watching this on the YouTube video archive thing, thank you for watching. Make sure you're following the channel, subscribe to the channel, whatever term you want to use. Like the video, share the video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, become a member. Once again, this channel is growing so much faster than I ever expected. Thank you, everybody. If we somehow manage to hit, because this is an actual possibility, if we somehow manage to hit 10,000 subscribers before Christmas 2025, I will take a single fan fiction of the choice of the community, whatever y'all want, and I will fully record, produce, and voice act an audiobook for it. And it has to be achieved through legitimate means. So no botting, no account duping, no buying followers, nothing like that. Go share the videos, go share the streams, bring people over to the community. I don't know, get more creators to tune into the streams and watch me just not tear apart, but deconstruct their music live, and like, I don't know, let's get collab stuff like that. I don't know, but legitimate, right? We do have the YouTube hype function. I don't know how it works. We have people on the Discord who do. Link to the Discord is down below. That kind of thing, right? And members, if you are a member, you get early access. I schedule the videos for the week on Saturdays, and if you are a paid member on YouTube, regardless of your tier, you get access to the week's videos on Saturday. So become a member today. If you want to listen to this without me interrupting every 3.5 seconds, I will be linking it in the description down below. If you want to request a track and you're not on the live stream, if you're on the live stream, do not request yet. And if you're not on the live stream, go to the Discord server, link down below, go to the LFA requests channel, and follow the instructions on the pinned message. If you want to catch the streams when they happen live, we aim for Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Central European Time. If you're not in Europe, that's fine, no worries. Just we have the Discord and the Twitch, which both have the full streaming schedule up to date, showing you in your local time zone in the description. And yes, so if you're not there, so if you're in I don't know, Goban, and you're like, oh, but what time is 6 p.m. in Hungary? I don't live there. No worries, just go to the Discord or the Twitch. It's all linked there. Just showing in your local time zone. And follow the gaming channel. We have a gaming channel because, of course, I have a gaming channel. What else could I possibly have on YouTube? Games are Basterd. That's where I put the recordings of the gaming VODs when they happen. Linked down below, or search on YouTube for the same username as James R. Basterd. Just swap the J for a G and you got it. And yeah, there you go. Prophecy by Creo. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. But yeah, let's move on.